Well, let's start off with you, Reverend Dr. Brown, if we can do that.
All right.
Would you tell me where you grew up and how you got into the Army?
I was born in Cleveland Parish, Louisiana. And my parents were on a farm of 120 acres, of which is still in the family. They moved from Cleveland Parish into Homer, Louisiana, H-O-M-E-R. In Louisiana, you have two Homers. One is H-O-M-E-R, and then you have the southern Homer. I was raised partially in H-O-M-E-R, Homer, which is in North Louisiana. And of course, I went from Homer to Grambling, Louisiana, when I was in elementary school, and it was in Grambling, Louisiana, where I was drafted out of high school. In 1943, I was drafted out of high school in Grambling, Louisiana. And from Grambling, Louisiana, I was sent to Shreveport, Louisiana, which is in North Louisiana. And there at Shreveport, I was completely inducted into the Army. And of course, from Army in Homer, I was transferred into Peoria, Illinois. And in Peoria, Illinois, there was a laundry company that I was assigned to. And of course, we did part of our training in Peoria, Illinois.
Okay. Let's hold on to that for a minute, and I'm going to talk to somebody else, and I'll come back to you, okay?
Thank you.
On my left here is Bill Labenow. Bill, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up, and how did you get into the service that you got into?
I was born in I forgot it, but as a child, we moved to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and there, from the time I was about 5 years old, so I joined the service, and
I understand at 16 years old, you were trying to get into the military.
Yes, sir, that is correct. I tried to get into all branches of the service, and I was rejected by every one of them due to a curvature of the spine. When I was 16 years old, I tried to get into each of those. I was rejected, and I finally found the Merchant Marine, and I went down there at 16, and they rejected me there. But a little bit later, I forged my mother's signature and went into the Merchant Marine. And from there on, what else you want, sir?
Well, can you talk a little bit about the Merchant Marine and what their mission was during World War II?
The Merchant Marine was logistics. We carried cargo to any one of the fighting personnel and discharged it, and then would return to stateside and reload. And at that time, we were not considered military until 1988, when they recognized us as as a serviceman. And from that time on, I was a advocate for the Merchant Marine.
We'll get back to you in just a minute, okay?
I'll be waiting, sir.
Okay. Dominick,
Yes, sir.
tell me where you grew up and how you got into the Army.
Well, I was born in Italy. Okay. And I came to this country when I was 8 years old. So I lived here for quite a while until I was 22 years old. And then they drafted me.
Where were you living at the time?
I was living in Richmond Hill, Queens.
New York.
Part of New York. Well, that's just, between the two lines. And that's where I was inducted, in New York, actually. I got my letter, where the president asks you in nice words that you're inducted.
How did you take to going into the military, your basic training? What was that like for you?
Oh, well, at first it was kind of rough because, 25-mile hikes are pretty far, especially if they keep them up every day. So, but most of it was fine. I mean, we got to know each other, and we had like a little club. Each battalion, we had different people that got together, and we were like brothers, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I probably ought to stop here and tell you something. Dominick is the senior member of this group. Dominick's 104.
God bless you.
I beat you a little bit by 3.
Dr. Brown's 101.
Thank you.
Bill's only 99.
He's a youngster.
And the junior member down here that I'm going to talk to is Riptide Ripple, and he's only 97 and 3/4.
97 and 3/4.
Well, let's talk about that. Rip, where did you grow up, and how did you get into the Navy?
I was born in Reading, Pennsylvania, 131 Exeter Street. I was number 4 of 9 children. I had 5 boys and 4 girls. So,
Well, how'd you get into the Navy?
well, my older brother, he joined the Navy, and I thought I would follow him too.
Do you remember Pearl Harbor, when Pearl Harbor happened?
I remember it, yes. I was 13 years old. And I passed the paper for the Reading Eagle. And at them time, they called me, and I had to go around and sell extra, read all about it, Pearl Harbor's bomb.
Okay, well, we'll come back to you in a minute. We'll talk about your first cruise and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Back to you, Reverend Brown. So you were in a laundry unit.
Yes.
When did you go over the beach in Normandy? When did you get into France?
It turns out that we finished part of our training in Peoria, Illinois, and it must have been about the end of 43 that we were shipped across the Atlantic to England, where we finished our training in the laundry company.
Talk a little bit about what that laundry company did and how they supported the troops so well.
The laundry company was set up on trailers, and on the trailer you had a motor, and of course the motor ran the washers as well as the dryers. And of course, when the soldiers would come off the line, to change clothes and take a shower, they'd come to us. And of course, what we would do would be to take their, in many cases, bloody clothes and dirty, from use and all on the line, and clean those and give them some brand new clothing. And of course, they would also take a shower before getting the new clothes, and they'd head back up on the line.
But they were glad to see you.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Now, were you there during Battle of the Bulge or after the Battle of the Bulge? Where did that fit in with your service?
We followed the fighting line, and of course, when the fighting line entered the Bulge, we entered after they entered. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. You had a situation after the Bulge in 1945 when you were wounded. You want to tell me about that?
About, what's the comment?
About your being wounded.
Oh, yes. Perhaps most of you know that the Germans had what was called a buzz bomb. And the buzz bomb was full of shrapnel. And of course, it would fly without a human being being present on the buzz bomb or in the buzz bomb. And if, in fact, they discovered that there was a large group of people, in this case, a large group of soldiers in a certain area, they could release that buzz bomb and it would hit the ground and explode, and shrapnel would go everywhere. And of course, during that period, I received a small piece in the left side of my face.
And that you were wounded then?
Yes, I was wounded at that point. And of course, I was sent to England for a few weeks and then sent back to the state for surgery and correction of the injury I received.
Okay, thank you. Back to you, Bill.
Yes, sir.
How was your first cruise across the Atlantic with the Merchant Marine? How'd you do on that?
That was terrible. I got a little bit sick while we were in the harbor, and we got out of harbor. I got damn well sick, and I learned the lessons of heaving it out and not to go out yourself overboard. And it was a educating thing.
But weren't you all also worried about submarines at that time?
Well, sure, we went in convoy, but we didn't encounter any of them. But we were in convoy, and mostly the Coast Guard on the DEs, destroyer escorts, they escorted the convoy.
What was your duties aboard the ship?
I was a communications officer, and I did all the receiving of messages coming in, but we never sent any of them because that would give our position away to the enemy. But it was rough sailing, but smooth sailing.
Did you get seasick anymore?
33 years.
Okay. Dominick.
Yes, sir.
What were you trained in the Army? You were with the
95th.
The 378th Infantry Regiment Artillery Unit.
Yes.
But really, you were flying around in Piper Cubs. Is that right?
Yes, well, I was the mechanic on two of them, two airplanes. And before that, I was with the cannons on the bottom, the 105 howitzers. And I was the line puller. I complained to the captain that my ears were going. I can't take it anymore. So I went to airplane mechanics for 15 weeks. And although I was a mechanic to begin with, I was a car mechanic. You know. After that, they put me in the Piper Cub airplanes. Now, these planes were used for observation, and when we observed the Germans, then we would telephone down to the artillery, and the artillery would eliminate them. And I was the mechanic. I kept 2 airplanes flying all the time.
You're kind of like a forward observer for the units out there.
Absolutely.
Did you also do some supply drops and those kind of things in the airplanes?
Did the what fly?
Supply drops? Were you dropping supplies?
Oh, yes. See, that was one of my the Battle of the Bulge. Yes. Now, when we had the Battle of the Bulge, the Germans were behind us, and we crossed the river, and we tried to get further, but there was Germans in front of us. So the only thing we could do was form a big circle, which was called the Battle of the Bulge. Now, Patton had 2 battalions there, and he sent them to Sicily because he wanted to beat Montgomery, you know, to Rome, and he did.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. And so we stayed there, and our airplanes delivered supplies to the Battle of the Bulge people who were in foxholes with water up to here. So I threw a lot of packages out, and I also we had those cigarettes. We used 50 cents a carton, so I put one of those in there. I dropped it, and the guys all rushed for the cigarettes instead for the cans of food.
They wanted their smoke, right?
Yeah, you know. And the guys in the foxholes running to get the cigarettes. And we managed, I made 14 trips, for which I got an air medal for. And we, at the end, towards the end there, we were able to take care of the measurements because they couldn't hit us before. You know, 200 feet, if they come down, they go into the ground. So we were able to really deliver supplies, plenty of supplies, and we got out of that hole. Yes.
Great. Let's hold it right there.
Yeah.
We're going to go up here to the Navy over here. What kind of ship were you on, Rip? Sorry, you're Rip Tide. That was your name, right?
USS Pollux AK-4. It was a supply ship. We keep stores. We kept all kinds of supplies to take to different islands and other ships.
And this is in the Pacific, I assume.
Yes.
Whereabouts in the Pacific did you go? Where were
Well, I went to Great Lakes Naval Station for basic training. Then I went to San Francisco, and from San Francisco, I went to Pearl Harbor. And then I was assigned the USS Pollux AK-4.
What was your duties aboard the ship?
Well, I was a seaman, and my duty was to keep the ship secure and transfer supplies to other ships on the different islands.
Mm-hmm. You're in the Solomon Islands too, I think.
I went to Wake Island, we dropped supplies, and mostly in the Marshall Islands. Yeah.
I got to ask you, did you get seasick like our friend Bill here did?
I never got seasick. But I used to remember a lot of my buddies got seasick and they would throw overboard, and then we used to, being a young kid, we used to make fun of them.
Yeah. Okay. Where are we? Reverend Brown.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
As an African American during World War II, what was your experience?
What was the question?
As an African American veteran of World War II, what was your experience and what did you experience
In the war,
in
the service?
in the service?
In the service, it turns out that we had not completed our training, and of course we had a few months in England, and in England we had the USO, and it was at the USO where the servicemen could go and meet the English women and other women from other areas. And of course, we would have fun dancing and talking and going on. And during that time, it turns out that some of the soldiers from the deep South, if they saw a black soldier talking to an English woman, what they would do would come and say, just move in and start talking to the lady and simply say, did you know that when spring come, the black's tail come out? And of course, just kind of take over the conversation, you know. That was during the time, you know, before we got started with the part where we crossed over. This was at the USO. But when we finally got down to crossing over the English Channel and moving in to start the real fight, we all worked with one another in order to be alive for a period or for life.
Yep.
Because we understood that we had to save one another in order to save ourselves. And so we got along quite well when we crossed over. But before we crossed over, there was still this racism.
Got you.
Yes.
Thank you. Bill,
Yes, sir.
you stayed in the Merchant Marine after World War II.
That's correct.
How many years were you in the Merchant Marine?
I was a total of 33 years. That included wartime and peacetime.
Where did you go in the other times you were after the war? Where else did you go?
I stayed in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I established 2 businesses. And my wife became very ill, so I had to quit my business and take care of the missus.
I understand.
Yes.
But you were also in the Merchant Marine supplying and helping in Korea and Vietnam?
Yes, sir.
So you're a 3-war veteran?
Yes, sir.
Ah.
Baby.
Thanks for your service, right?
Thank you, sir.
Where are we? Dominic,
Yes, sir.
where were you at the end of the war?
Germany.
And what was the feeling there?
Well, the first sergeant took the whole battalion out in the field, and we lined up, and he says, "Oh, we're going to go home." I said, everybody, you know, great, we're going to go home. So we all were prepared to go home. All of a sudden, they come out with these khaki uniforms. And so we looked at the khaki uniform. I said, we thought we were going to go home. No, you're going to Japan. Oh, my God, when we heard that, I mean, you know, you say you're going to go home, and then all of a sudden you're going to go for another battle. So we weren't too happy when he said that, but all of a sudden we found out that they had bombed Japan, and then the war was over. And we threw up hats, and we kissed one another. We had a good time.
How about when you got back to New York?
When I got back to New York, well, I was happy. I met my family, of course, and I rode in the subway home, and I met all my family, and I was very happy.
Great. Rep, back to you. Where were you at the end of the war?
Marshall Islands.
How did you find out about it? How did you find out about the end of the war?
Well, the ship broadcasted that the war ended. In the when we were in the Marshall Islands.
What is one memory you have about being in the Navy that you always talk about?
In 1946, the U.S. government and the Navy wanted to test the atomic bomb, the scientific effects, how it would affect the Navy. And the Bikini Atoll, they assembled old naval vessels, and we were a distance back, and they dropped atomic bomb on the vessels to see how it would affect the Navy if an atomic bomb was ever dropped. Quite an experience.
What did you see?
Huh?
What did you see? Did you see the bomb?
Oh, how the effects of a bomb.
And you remember that to this day, I'm sure.
Oh, sure.
Well, we've got a few more minutes here, just a few, and I want to have the opportunity for anyone out there who would like to ask us a question, please to do so. I think there's a microphone hand over here.
There's a World War II veteran right out on Dave Yoho.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Lucas Steed from the United States Naval Academy. First, I want to just say, I think I speak for everyone here, what an honor it is to ask you questions and listen to your experiences. As leaders and future officers, we strive to be the best we can. Who is the best leader you have served with, and why?
Did you hear all that? Who is the first leader that you served with that you inspired you or you thought a lot about? Any leader that you, a leader that you served under that you remember that inspired you? Were you with Patton?
General Patton.
Did you see him?
I didn't see him, but I knew that he was in our army, and he had the 2 battalions in the Battle of the Bulge. I told you he left the 2 battalions. He didn't. I think I did, but anyway, he left the 2 battalions in the Battle of the Bulge, and we had to take care of his 2 battalions while he went to Sicily. And I think he was the most important part of the whole war.
Okay. Anybody else? Do we have another question?
This is for Dominick.
Wait a minute.
I want to talk to you, Dominick. When we think of military men, we always think of them carrying guns. You carried a saxophone. Everywhere we traveled, you carried a saxophone, and they always ask you to play. At 104 years old, you still have a band. Isn't that wonderful?
Yes.
You got a band. Did you bring your saxophone today?
Yes, I did.
Okay, we'll be playing in the lobby tonight. Is that it?
Yes, we will.
You got a band?
Any other questions out there?
Hi, thanks to everyone that's on the panel. This question is directed to Dr. Arlester Brown. Dr. Brown, I realize that you did your service, but after your service, how was it for you to return back to Grambling, Louisiana, and your education, and how did you accomplish all of that during the time you returned from the Army?
The question was for you. After the war, you returned to Grambling.
Yes.
And what was your experience once you got back to Grambling and getting your education?
Well, it turns out that my parents were living in Shreveport, Louisiana, when I returned out of the armed forces. And of course, from time to time, I would go out to the VA trying to find out what I could do to get started again in life, you know. And of course, most of the time, the Caucasians would receive information and they would be served first because, as you remember, during that period, segregation was at its worst. And of course, many times I would go out and check and try to find out get some information, you know, concerning what I could do in order to get started in life. And finally, I went back to Grambling, from Shreveport back to Grambling. And of course, I went to the registrar's office, and the registrar, Ghana, greeted me and many of the others who were present and said they was glad to see me and glad to know that I had been in the war and I was back, and they hoped that I would start school again. And of course, they said that the GI Bill was available. Well, that was the first time that I knew that there was a GI Bill, because I'd gone to the Veterans office and they didn't tell me. Yeah. But the registrar said, you go down the hall and sign up, and you're part of the GI Bill. We'll take care of your living expenses, and of course, your degree and all. It turned out that I finished the bachelor's degree at Grambling State University, and of course I went to the office in Shreveport to see if I could get a job. And of course the assistant superintendent said, Arlester, what I'm going to do is to assign you as principal of one of the elementary schools. And that's the way I got started. My new life was to be a principal in the public school system in Shreveport, Louisiana.
And he went on to get 2 master's degrees and a PhD and was very involved with education here in Washington, D.C. as well.
One more question.
Oh.
Nolan Russell from the United States Naval Academy. Again, thank you for your service, gentlemen. It's really nice to hear your experiences. If you have one piece of advice to give to the next generation, like what would you say? What was the advice that you would give us? Thank you.
Did you catch all that?
If you have any advice to give to the next generation, what would it be?
What would I say?
Yeah.
Yes, there's something very important that I would say to the next generation. First of all, I would tell them that the veterans are on their way out, and they're going to be the next generation to take over for us. And that they better be, because we are now in a bad situation. And I think the next generation should do this, because there's no one else. We will be gone, and we really want them to do what we did, if possible. Just because we here have a beautiful America. I was an immigrant. I came here as an immigrant, and I love this country. And when I got here, I went to school, just like the doctors did, and I had to learn the English language. And naturally, the English language is a tough language, and it took me quite a while. And then I had to go through all the schools.
Dominic, thanks very much for passing that along.
You're welcome.
That's from the greatest generation. Let's give a round of applause to all of them.
I want to make a statement for the future generation.
I got 1 minute. Go ahead. You got 1 minute.
My statement for the future generation would be, number one, get into a good Bible class. You don't have to become a Christian, but get into a good Bible class, because if you get into a good Bible class, it will teach you something about the world experience of people long times ago, and also give you a guide in terms of what your life can be and be a good life if, in fact, you follow the guide of that Bible, because the Bible gives you the history of the world. And because you have the history of the world, you understand something about how people lived long, long times ago.
Thank you very much, Reverend.